Welcome back everyone. I'm the Swedish dividend investor. Cue the classical music. So the year is starting to wrap up and the income keeps pouring in. This is the second to last dividend income video for this year. Crazy how time flies. My first video on the channel was in February of this year and it was my payments from January 2025. So a whole year I have shown my income and we will be able to watch it grow every month and every year, hopefully. Next month's dividend income video will be special. I will go through each month and compare it to prior years, and we will also see how things look going forward. If you enjoy my work, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. We are just about 200 subscribers away from 1000 subscribers. Let's make it happen before 2026. With that out of the way, we will start with checking the portfolio value and the performance year to date. So I have two portfolios. My main portfolio, which is the biggest, with a value of 1,256,575 Swedish crowns. And today the dollar is 9.45 Swedish crowns. The dollar value of the main portfolio is $132,970. But I also have my high yield portfolio on another broker, and the total value there is 69,015 Swedish crowns. That's 7,303 in dollar value. Combined value in Swedish crowns is 1,325,590 or 140,274 in dollars. My high yield portfolio has been getting hammered since the start, because I bought a lot of BDCs when they sold off, but now I am in the green by 2.28%, so that's always nice. I would prefer cheaper BDCs so I can buy more. With dividends included, I'm up about 6%. Sweet. Switching over to the main portfolio, I'm up about 9.21%. Not too shabby. I'm not out to beat the market or overperform. I just want to perform with less downside risk than the broader market. I like being transparent as an investor, so I thought I would show you the transactions. These are real dividends coming in. Alright, let's take a closer look on what I actually got paid in November. For the first week, I received 5 payments. First out is Capital Southwest, ticker CSWC. My then 55 shares each paid me 0.1934, so that's about $10.64. Sadly, I do have to pay the taxman. In the case of American stocks, it's always 15%. So we remove $1.6 and we land at a total of $9.04. I did buy some more here. I'm up to 80 shares now. Do I plan to add more? Not with new capital, only with reinvested dividends. This portfolio will get some added capital for newer positions, but when I have the full portfolio, I will stop adding capital and just reinvest the dividends to see how we perform going forward. Next up is another BDC, Gladstone Capital, ticker GLAD. My then 83 shares each paid me $0.15, making the pre-tax income $12.45. And we remove the $1.87 in withholding tax, and we get a net payout of $10.58. I added some shares here too, so I'm up to 95 shares now, and boy, did they have a run as of lately. I'm up 7.5% excluding dividends. Do I think they are fairly valued? Not really. I would rather want them to trade around $18 to $19. Let's move on with a staple monthly payer, Pennant Park Floating Rate, ticker PFLT. I'm contemplating to sell this position and add it to the high yield portfolio. I can't buy any more for my main portfolio, and that 13.41% yield is looking pretty juicy. I'm down 30% on this due to buying when the dollar was high, and my cost basis is around $11.72. Anyway, my 120 shares each paid me $0.1025, so we got $12.3. removing the tax of 1.85, we land at a net payout of 10.45. Next up, telecommunication. Verizon, ticker VC. Steady Eddie in the portfolio. My 41 shares each paid me 0.69.
Nice.
So that comes out to $28.29, and after removing the tax of 4.24, we land at $24.05. Up next is dividends from the energy sector. Aker BP, ticker Aker BP on the Oslo Stock Exchange, or AKRBY for the New York Stock Exchange ADR version. Now, I've only been holding Aker for just over a year, but I do like them. The Norwegian crown is down a bit since I bought, so I'm only up 4.5% on share price, but my 12% yield on cost do make up for it. My 103 shares each paid 6.33 Norwegian crowns, totaling 651.99. But here I do have to pay a 25% withholding tax of 163 Norwegian crowns. So we're left with 488.99. Let's convert it to dollars. So $1 is 10.13 Norwegian crowns. So 488.99 divided by 10.13. We get $48.27. That sums up the first week. Adding it all up for the monthly total so far, we land at $102.39. Not too shabby for the first week. For the second week, I received a whopping 8 payments. First out is the JP Morgan covered call family, starting off with JPM US Equity Premium Income ETF, ticker JEPI or JEIP. I haven't got much to say here, except I'm a bit disappointed. They haven't recovered since April, and the dividend is kind of all over the place. My 36 shares each paid me 0.125, so that amounts to $4.5. And with ETFs domiciled in Ireland, I don't pay any tax at all, so at least that's nice. Next one, JPM Nasdaq Equity Premium Income ETF, ticker JEPQ or JEQP. At least this one has recovered somewhat, and the dividend is pretty solid, currently offering a plus 10% yield. My 36 shares each paid me $0.1755, so that comes out to $6.32, and again, no taxes. And let's go with the big brother. JPM Global Equity Premium Income ETF, ticker JGPI or JEPG. This one is also down since April, but the dividend here is much more stable, and in my opinion, it went down from a pretty overvalued level. I'm about break even on this when looking at a total return. My 480 shares each paid me $0.1438, giving us a total payout of $69.02. Even more covered call ETFs coming up. Global X S&P 500 covered call ETF, ticker XYLU or XY7D. I'm actually on the positive side with this covered call ETF. I've almost collected 4,000 Swedish crowns in dividends, making up for that negative 1,612 crowns I'm down. I'm going to keep holding and collecting dividends from my Global X ETFs. My 210 shares each paid $0.151, paying out a total of $31.71. Sweet, let's check out the brother ETF. Global X Nasdaq 100 covered call ETF, ticker QYLD or QYLE. It's the same with this one. I've collected about 4,250 Swedish crowns in dividends, offsetting that negative 2,124 crowns. My 196 shares each paid $0.1625, so a grand total of $31.85. Thank you. Montrose Global Monthly Dividend ETF, ticker MONTDIV on the Stockholm Stock Exchange. Sweden's very own covered call ETF. Launched just before the tariff circus, and they have finally recovered somewhat. I'm just below break even here. My 309 shares each paid 0.451 Swedish crowns, so that's 139.36 Swedish crowns. And converting it to USD, we land at $14.78. That's it for the covered call ETFs. Let's move on to a controversial company. British American Tobacco, ticker BTI for the US ADR or BAT on the London Stock Exchange. I've said it before and I'll gladly say it again. I love my SIN stocks. They are overvalued right now. I'm up 68% and I've collected a whopping 12,327 Swedish crowns in dividends along the way. That's $1,304. That's a total return of 94.14%. I'm pretty happy with that. My glorious 143 shares each paid me 0.7883, landing me at a total payout of $112.73. And with this one, I don't pay any taxes. Next up is a big dividend payer for me and a staple since the birth of my portfolio. XACT Nordic High Dividend Low Volatility ETF. Ticker XACT DIV on the Stockholm Stock Exchange. Fun fact, when I watched my dividend income over the years on my broker, XACT Nordic is on second place, beaten only by BTI. Like I said, it's a staple in my portfolio, and I'm just holding, collecting dividends and buying big when it corrects. My 590 shares each paid me 1.87 Swedish crowns, so that's a total of 1,103.3 Swedish crowns. Converting it to freedom units will land at $116.75. Gotta love that cash flow. Summing up the second week, we get $387.66. Jeez. Adding it to the monthly total, we land at $490.05 so far. For the third week, I received two payments. The first one is Realty Income, ticker O. Yet another example of the currency risk. I bought a lot when the dollar was high, so even though my average buy price is $53.16, I'm just above break even when the stock is trading at $57.61. I do think it will stabilize in the future when I buy more. My 111 shares each paid me $0.2695, so about $29.91. But unfortunately, we do owe the US taxman his share of $4.49. Removing that, we get $25.42. Time for another BDC. Hercules Capital, ticker EDGTGC. Now, they paid a special or supplemental dividend this month. Very welcomed. So, we have the regular dividend of $0.4 and a special dividend of $0.07. So my 74 shares each paid a combined dividend of $0.47. That's $34.78. And as always, we remove the tax of around $5.2. We land at $29.58. Awesome. Now, I had my hopes up. HTGC would go below $17 so I could buy more. But they had plans to exit the Earth and head to the moon instead. Anyways, summing up the third week, we get $55. Adding it to the monthly total, we land at $545.05. Will we break the $600 level? Let's find out. For the fourth and final week, I received two payments. Vår Energi, ticker VAR on the Oslo Stock Exchange, or VARRY for the US ADR on the New York Stock Exchange. I actually bought some shares this Friday. I used the dividend I got and reinvested it right back into it. The current dividend yield is at a staggering 15.46%. Absolutely mind-blowing. I bought them around the same time as I bought Aker BP. I was kind of skeptical about the dividend yield, but when I looked into it, they more than well covered the dividend, and the oil has to fall a lot before they start cutting it. My then 800 shares each paid me 1.211 Norwegian crowns, so that's 968.8, and like Aker, we have to pay a 25% tax of 242.2 Norwegian crowns, so we get a total payout of 726.6 Norwegian crowns. Converting it, we land at $71.73. Last payment. The final payment is interest on my savings account. I have been eyeing a short-term interest rate ETF. The ETF is domiciled in Ireland. They pay a tad bit over 3.1% and has monthly payouts. The price is very stable, but I do have the currency risk since it's in euro, and I have to pay an exchange fee both when I buy and when I sell, but I don't pay any taxes on the distributions, so I might move my cash position there. Anyway, I get a measly 1.3% interest on my money. This month it's paying me 65.18 Swedish crowns, but then there's the 30% tax of 19.55, giving me 45.63 Swedish crowns. Converting it, we get $4.82. Yay! If you want me to look into the short-term interest rate ETF, let me know in the comments. Summing up the fourth week, we land at $76.55. Adding it up for the grand total of the month, we land at $621.6. Hold up just a second, I made a mistake. During the editing, I noticed I hadn't included dividends from CSWC Nordic Real Estate. I filtered my dividends from the 3rd of November. I actually got dividends from CSWC on the 1st of November, a Saturday, so my 389 shares each paid me 0.7632, so 296.88 Swedish crowns. That's $31.41, so the total for the month is actually $653.01. So, as always, we compare it to last year's November. We head on over to my dividend tracker, and we can see the last year I was paid 5,365.15 Swedish crowns, or 567.74 in today's dollar value. That was a pretty good month, and I got a special dividend for my then new position in rubies. Let's calculate the gain in income. Doing some math, it comes out to 15%. Not the biggest beat, but hey, I'll take it. Considering the one-time special dividend I got last year was $61 after taxes, I'd say I did good. Counting that way, I would have a gain of 28.86%. But now I'm just being autistic. Next month, the number to beat is 2,078.74 Swedish crowns, or $219.97. December is just an awful month for dividends for me. Will I beat it? Stay tuned for next one, and that's going to be a big one with a lot of data. If you enjoy autistic counting of dividends, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. I'm the Swedish dividend investor, and I will see you in the next one. Stay smart, stay patient and keep stacking those dividends. Ha det gött!